Alright, we got a couple equations with variables on both sides. How do we work this first one? LA, what will we do first?
Add 19 on both sides.
No, that wouldn't help you any. Remember, you got to get a like term to the other side. What would you do, Danica? Subtract 7a on both sides. I worked one just like this before we started, didn't I? This goes away, so I have negative 19 equals negative 1a, because 6a minus 7a is negative 1a. Now I'm going to divide negative 1 on both sides, so what does a equal? 19. What do we do on this problem first, Natalia?
Use subtract 6 on both sides.
You could do that. Subtract 6r. Now, if you did something different, that's okay. She said subtract 6r on both sides, which means it goes away here, and I have 2 equals 3r minus 6r is negative 3r minus 1. Now what am I going to do, Cody? Add 1 on both sides. So I've got 3 equals negative 3r. Now what am I going to do, Katie?
You divide negative 3 on both sides.
Divide negative 3 on both sides, so r equals negative 1, which is which answer choice? D. Alright, this problem's a little more difficult. What would you do first, Cece? Good. Subtract 2.5a, say the rest of it. On both sides, right? So this goes away, so I have 12 equals, what's 5 minus 2.5? 2.5a. Now what do I do, LA?
Divide 2.5.
Look at you, divide 2.5 on both sides. So I've got a equals 12 divided by 2.5, but I can't stop there, can I? Now, earlier, probably 2 weeks ago, remember we divided decimals? Move the decimal one to the right on both. So I've got 120 divided by what?
25.
So we've got to say, how many times does 25 go into 120? It goes in 4 times, which is 100, leaving a remainder of 20. Bring the 0 down. How many times does it go into 200?
8.
So what's our answer?
4.8.
4.8. Because it was 4 right here, 0.8, which is what choice? D. So the answer was 4.8. Alright, now we've got 3.2z minus 6 equals 1.8 plus 11z. What would you like to do first, Danica? Good. Subtract 3.2z on both sides. So now that's going to give me negative 6 equals 1.8 plus, what's 11z minus 3.2z? 7.8z. Now what are you going to do, Zach?
You would subtract 1.8.
Subtract 1.8 on both sides. So that gives me negative 7.8 equals 7.8z. Now what am I going to do, Rico? Divide 7.8 on both sides. So I've got negative 7.8 divided by 7.8. So what's z equal? Not 0. Negative 1. Anything over itself is 1, but if you have a negative over a positive, it's negative. So the answer is negative 1. Now, remember how we're supposed to rewrite this? We've got 2/3 p plus 4 equals 1/5 p. Remember, the p's go with the top number. So I've got 2p over 3 plus 4 equals 1p over 5. Right? Now, what can you do? Yeah, there's only one thing you can do. Subtract 2p over 3 on both sides. Yeah, this is supposed to be over 5. I wrote this wrong. This is supposed to be over 5. Oops. It's supposed to be 2p over 5. I wrote it wrong. Okay. So I wrote the problem wrong. Now, since I'm subtracting 2p over 5, 1p minus 2p is what?
Negative 1.
Negative 1p.
So I've got 4 equals negative 1p over.
5.
Now what do I do?
Multiply 5 on both sides.
Multiply 5 on both sides. So 5 times 4 is,
20.
and that equals negative 1p. Now what do I do?
Divide negative 1 on both sides.
Divide negative 1 on both sides, so p equals negative 20. What answer choice is that? B. Now, this was just a quiz. This is just 5 examples of solving equations with variables on both sides. Now, today we're going to learn how to solve inequalities with variables on both sides. So up to this date, we have solved inequalities with variables just on one side. Then yesterday and the day before, we solved inequalities with equations with variables on both sides, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
And that's what we just got done doing in our quiz. Now, today we're going to solve inequalities with variables on both sides of the inequality sign. Now, just like it says up here, you solve an inequality just by applying the same principles as if you were doing an equation. The only difference is you have a less than, a greater than, less than or equal, greater than or equal, and then when you're done, you got to put your answer on a what? Number line. So now let's look at an example here. We've got 5y minus 17 is less than or equal to 13. Treat this just like if it was an equal sign. What would I do first, LA? Come on, say it. You're right. Not subtract though.
Add 17.
You got to do the opposite. So you're going to add 17 on both sides, just like LA said. So what does that give you, Zach? No, Zach.
20.
20.
Yeah.
13
No.
plus 17?
30.
So I've got 5y is less than or equal to 30. Now what do I do? Danica? Divide 5 on both sides. So that gives me y is less than or equal to 6. Now we have to put this on the number line. So let's draw a number line. Now at 6, this is 0, this is 5, 6. Now, is this going to be an open or a closed circle?
Closed.
Why?
Because
Ball rolls left.
Because it's less than or equal to. So it's a closed circle at 6. Now, which direction is it pointing?
Left.
Left. Good, because this is pointing to the left, isn't it? So that's how you plot it on a number line. Now, we also talked about you can shade it in to the left if you want to. Either way is correct. The key is for you to see that you can solve it, get your answer just like we've done before, put it on the number line just like we've done before. This and this aren't new. What's new is that you have an equation right here. Okay? But we did this yesterday and the day before, so you have to be able to do it. Okay? So let me give you one you can try. Try that. Now, let me ask you this. First, you need to leave change opposite that. And second, you need to distribute, right? So now let you try it. Now, we're going to distribute 3 to the negative 5, and we get negative 15. And 3 to the negative 2s, and we get negative 6s. So we've got, okay, negative 15 minus 6s. Is that not the same as negative 15 plus a negative 6s? Same thing, okay? I've told you 100 times. A minus sign is the same as a negative, okay? And that is greater than 3. Now, each step of your equation, you've got to bring this with you, okay? Now, we're going to add 15 on both sides. And we're going to get this go away. Negative 6s is greater than what? 18, because 15 plus 3 is 18. We're going to divide by negative 6 on both sides. So s is going to be greater than what?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Now, are we done at this point?
No.
No, you got to put it on a number line. So we've got, this is 0, -1, -2, -3. Now we go to -3 and do we put an open or closed circle?
Open.
Open because it's not equal to. If it's less than or greater than, it's an open circle. If it's less than equal to or greater than equal to, it's a closed circle. Well, not this one because it's just greater than. Remember what kind of circle is that? Now, which way do we point our arrow?
To the right.
Yeah, we shade to the right, or you can just do, I just do an arrow to the right. Do you understand that? Okay, so let's try another one. Do the one on the left first. 3x plus 6 is greater than 24. Now, this one's a little bit easier. This is kind of what we've been doing before. What would I do first?
Subtract 6 on both sides.
Subtract 6 on both sides, so I have 3x is greater than 18. Then I would divide 3 on both sides, so x is greater than 6. Now my number line, this is 0. I'm going to say this is 5 because I don't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Open circle going what direction? Open to the right. Or you can shade if you want, whatever you want. So you need this, the answer, and the number line. Okay? The next one has, what is it?
When you add subtract, they will be the top.
What's your question? Now on the next one we've got 4x minus 3 is less than 15. We're going to add 3 on both sides, which is going to give me, I did the opposite, right? I added 3, which gives me 4x is less than 18. Now what do I do, LA?
Divide 4x on both
Not x, just 4. Why are you dividing 4? Because it's being, what's it being? Multiplying. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So x equals 9 over 2. Now, we can't leave it 9 over 2. 2 goes into 9 4 times, which is 8 with a remainder of 1. So 4 and a half. So our x equals 4 and 1/2. Now we got to put that on the number line. Okay? If this is 0, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 4 and a half's in the middle of 4 and 5, isn't it? So we're going to, it's right there. Open circle. I meant to put it, it's supposed to be less than, less than, less than. So it's an open circle to what direction? To the left. You understand? Alright, let's try this. We've got 18 is less than or equal to 22 minus 2n. Now, we can't move the 2n over here because that won't help us. We got to move the like term with 18. What is it?
22.
Now, is 22 positive or negative?
Positive.
So what do you have to do?
Subtract.
Not add, you just said it's positive. What's the opposite of that? Negative. Subtract 22 on both sides. So you've got 18 minus 22 is -4, is less than or equal to -2n. Now what am I going to do, Rico?
You divide 2.
No. Katie?
Divide -2 on both sides.
Divide -2 on both sides. So -4 divided by -2 is +2. Now, what did I divide on both sides?
2. Stay -2.
Now, we talked about it earlier in the year. If you divide or multiply a negative on both sides, what happens to this? You flip it. So since I divided a negative, what do I do with this? Flip it and then put my variable. Right? Now, this is the same thing as this, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Look, 2 is greater than or equal to n. Read it from this side. 2 is greater than or equal to n. It's the same thing. But I like it like this so I can put it on the number line. When I put it on my number line, I'm 0, 1, 2. Now, is it open or closed circle?
Open. Close.
Closed circle. Go into what direction?
To the right. Left.
To the left. So now today we worked some equations and we also worked some inequalities with variables on both sides.